In this video, we're going to go over examples 9.5 to 9.7 from your book. If you'd like to follow along, open the Chapter 9 Classwork.xlsx workbook from My Courses and click on the EX 9.5 to 9.6 worksheet tab. In this example, 9.5 to 9.6, we're going to use moving average to forecast the future. So in using moving average, in this case we're going to be using a 2-period moving average. Using a 2-period moving average, if we did not know the actual for week 3, our forecast for week 3 would be the average of weeks 1 and week 2. Our forecast for week 4 would be the average of week 2 and week 3. So we're going to do this 2 different ways. First, we're just going to use a formula, and then we're going to use the moving average tool. Using a formula, we cannot do a moving average for week 1 because we have to have 2 previous observations. We have 0 previous observations. We can't do a forecast for week 2 because we only have 1 previous observation. So the first forecast that we can produce is for week 3 using a 2-period. So I'm going to click on cell C6 and I'm going to type the formula equals average. I'm going to open my parentheses and then I'm going to select the units sold for weeks 1 and week 2. So I'm going to select the range B4 to B5, close up my parentheses, and hit enter. Because this is a relative cell reference, it will always take the average of the 2 previous observations. So I'm going to click back on cell C6. I don't want to double click the fill handle. I'm going to drag the fill handle because I want to drag it down to week 18. So I'm going to get that fill handle. You remember skinny plus, not the 4-headed arrow, but the skinny plus. Hold down your left mouse button and just drag it down. And we now have a forecasted tablet computer sales for week 18, 60.5 units. Don't worry about the green triangles. If you want, you can get rid of the green triangles by selecting the entire range, clicking the information box, and just telling it to ignore the error. Now let's use Excel's moving average tool. So under the data analysis tool, which we've used before, is a moving average tool. So let's click on the data tab. On the right hand side you should see an analyze group with the data analysis icon. If you don't see it there, click File, and then Options, all the way down at the bottom on the left-hand side. On the left-hand side, under Excel Options, click Add-ins. At the bottom, next to Manage Excel Add-ins, click Go, and make sure that Analysis Tool Pack is checked, and click OK. And on that Data tab, you should now see the Analyze group with the Data Analysis icon. So we're going to click the Data Analysis, and now we're going to choose Moving Average. And click OK. Now in our Moving Average tool, for the input range, we're going to select the range B3 to B20, our data, and because we included B3, we're going to check the box that says labels in the first row. It comes up with an automatic interval of 3. We want an interval of 2 because we're told in this exercise to do a 2-period moving average. Now here's a little trick with using the moving average tool. I'm going to click in the output range box. Now it doesn't matter how many intervals you have, it is not possible to get a forecast for week 1 because there are no previous observations. The only period where it's possible to get a forecast is for period 2. So in the output range, if we click cell D5, which is going to be our period 2 using the moving average tool, then it will start at the correct position and match our moving average formula. So I'm going to click OK, and notice we have an NA the first period, and notice that using the moving average tool, all of our numbers match exactly to our moving average formula. And once again, to get rid of the green triangles, just select the range, click the down arrow next to the information box, and just click Ignore Error. And I'm just going to click on cell A1. We've now completed examples 9.5 to 9.6. I'm going to move on to example 9.7, where we're going to do exactly the same thing, but using our analytic solver. Now, if you're going to notice, I actually have my analytic solver installed here on Excel on my laptop. If you don't have analytic solver installed, then you're just going to have to do this exercise in the computer lab. So, in order to use our analytic solver, I'm going to click the Data Mining tab. You may see the analytic solver come up and start to activate. Some of these may be gray, but then it will activate. So in the time series, we're going to choose smoothing, and we're going to choose moving average. So in moving average, we need a time variable. Our time variable is going to be the week, and we need selected variable, which is the units sold. If that does not come out correctly, you can always move the variables back and then put them in correctly where they belong using the arrow keys next to the time variable and the selected variable. It selected the data range automatically because when we brought up the moving average tool, we had clicked one of the cells in the list. We should make sure to click one of the cells in the list, otherwise you would have to select the data range yourself. And notice down here we have an interval of 2. Make sure that you have an interval of 2. We're telling it to produce a forecast. It automatically produces 5 forecasts. We're going to be okay with that. And I'm just going to click OK. And we're going to get 2 extra tabs. One that just talks about how they did the moving average, but the second tab, moving average, gives us all of the output. And here's our actual units sold. Here's the forecast, which should match exactly what we had when we used our formulas. And here's our forecast for the next 5 periods. So notice forecast 1 is 60.5, which is exactly the same forecast we got for period 18.